Okay, a very good morning to you all. My name is Federico Ree and this is InspireTalk. Today we have another exciting guest, this time around the subject of property development, and we are still covering the Aussie disruptors and unveiling the minds of 5 Aussie entrepreneurs that have pretty much disrupted their industry sector. And my guest today is Brian Chua. How are you, Brian?
Hi Federico, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic, actually. It's a lovely sunny day in Melbourne. Now, Brian, just for the viewers, I just wanted to, give everyone a bit of an introduction about who you are.
Mhm.
Essentially, Brian, you're a young entrepreneur. I'd like to sort of call you a young entrepreneur,
Yep.
but you're also a property developer, and you've co-founded a business called Taylor Projects about 3 years ago, I believe. And your passion is about driving the transition towards an intuitive home, or
Yep,
in other
that's
words,
correct.
a home that looks after its residents and its community. Now, your legacy is about offering exceptional design, finely crafted homes, and using innovation as a means to disrupt your industry sector of property development. Now, whilst that's a mouthful, tell me a little bit about yourself, Brian.
So as you're aware, an entrepreneur first up, and then I'm also a property developer. And I think it really comes down to, like you mentioned, I co-founded the company back in 2014 with my business partner. And the reason why we co-founded it together is because we wanted to build a brand together, and we also share our same mission and value statement. So we align all those aspects, and we reckon that we should actually get together as a company to create a better good for the society.
I love your ethos, and I suppose creating a better world, for that matter, is very much the responsibility of us entrepreneurs. And I think the more we can do that in our own capacity or within our own business, then that's a great, I guess, legacy to have. So I guess looking at your particular industry and business, I guess what inspired you to start a career in property development?
Yeah, let me break it down a little bit too, right? The inspiration comes from a few angles. Number one, there's two factors here. My inspiration comes from my passion in renewable energy and green buildings. So back in 2009, I actually did a tour around Australia presenting about green roofs, green infrastructure, solar panels to an audience in Australia. So I went to the major cities in Brisbane, Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide. Sadly not in Hobart and Darwin because there's not many people that would keen in those areas. But I was doing a tour around with a solar expert in Germany. His name is Professor Manfred Kohler. And we were giving this spiel about how awesome green buildings are and how it helps you to save energy bills, how the materials in it, if you do it really well, it actually is not carcinogenic for your kids and everything like that. We were doing it and we have a great audience. The attendance for all the lectures were count full. And the sad part is, when we were talking, we found that there are no other developers in Australia or property developers in Australia doing a green building to some extent, right? So there's no one that really cares about the environment. They always give excuses about how expensive things are, how things you can't just do it. If you do a green building, you need to charge a very big premium, and I just think it's all untrue. Technology has improved over the years nowadays, and the prices has actually come down to a level where it's actually cost competitive with traditional methods. So that actually got me going back in 2009. I was like, if no one's doing it, part of my friends, screw it, I would just do it myself, right? So
It sounds like a Richard Branson quote. Yeah, that's great.
yeah, something like Richard Branson. Yeah, Richard Branson did the same thing. He says, he usually says, screw everything, just do whatever you want to.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that drives me a lot. The second thing that brings me to property development is the ability to build businesses. This is quite interesting, right? Property development, the way I treat it is like a business. It goes through all the cycles of a business. You need to go through the startup where you actually acquire a site, you need to find and do your feasibility and research stuff. And then you go through the growth phase where you actually raise money, and then you actually go through designing stuff. So you actually create something for someone. And we actually execute it by construction. And then you also have an exit strategy. So in property development, you always need to be cautious about how you do things. And one of the things is you always need an exit strategy no matter what. In businesses, it's the same as well. You either exceed it through the success of the project, where we actually get the profit and we get out. Worst case scenario, you still need to exit it. So you might actually sell the house or the land with planning permits. If you fail to get the planning permit, what do? Do you sell the land as it is? So you always need to structure your deal based on what you reckon you can get out from it. What's the exit strategy? And
Sure.
that's something that attracts me in the property side. You can build multiple businesses at a go.
Look, I like what you say, especially around the word passion, and inspiration is also the word I add to this as well. So it's clear to me why you went into this industry, obviously to revolutionize or disrupt the sector with property development and having green buildings. And I like that idea. And yes, you're right. There's always red tape and always excuses that that the government perhaps might even make, or the local councils and so forth. In terms of the challenges that you faced to start this business, considering the challenge, considering the friction and the opposition that you would face on a day-to-day, tell us a little bit about those particular challenges that you're facing when it comes to disrupting.
That's correct. I mean, there's a lot of challenges to start up a business, especially if you start designing buildings that's done really well. And I mean, one of the key with every business is the same as well. It's always cash flow. I mean, running a business, I mean, we are not a one-man band. We have a team sitting behind us. So I have a group of architects, town planner, an office manager, a drafty to do the drawings, and even I have a construction manager to look after the whole thing. To do something like that, you need to employ people. And to employ people, you need to pay them a salary every month, basically, in Australia. And cash flow, as a property developer, is usually quite erratic. You get money upfront, and then you don't have money for pretty much 12 to 18 months, sometimes longer, 24 months, because your project is not making money. You're running at a loss until the end of the project, where everyone settles on the project and the money is released again. So to account for that duration of just say 1-2 years without cash, you need to really plan correctly from the start that how can we actually find money in between to actually pay our staff members. And it's always a challenge, and it's still a challenge to today, where cash flow is always an issue. We're getting better for it, but ultimately it's still a challenge.
Sure.
And
so look, staying on the subject of challenge, but also looking at and bringing into that subject of disruption. I guess when you disrupt and you're going against the grain, sometimes it requires more fuel to get that rocket off the ground. So let me ask you this other question and come back to the challenges. Why is disruption important in your industry, and also what does it mean to you?
So I mean, disruption, right? The way I see the word disruption is basically you're challenging the status quo in some ways, right? And what we are doing, we're really challenging the status quo in Australia, or really in the world in general, because there's not many developers who actually do something like what we have done, where you focus on the green buildings and technology, because that's the only way to challenge it. And like you mentioned, right? I mean, disruption is very important because property is one of the oldest industry in the world. You always have property for many, many years now. And it has always been the same for the last, I don't know, I mean, even Australia, the standard of construction has always been the same for the last 100 years. There's no changes. You put bricks, you put a roof on top, and it's exactly the same. Yeah,
that's right.
Whatever you do. But there's definitely, I think it's quite good now to disrupt the market because everyone is doing the same thing. And if you do something different, you do something that's at a better quality, that considers all the design aspects of a building, for example, exterior design, interior design, technology, and energy efficiency, you basically solve a fundamental problem of a home.
So let me ask you this question. With regards to disrupting and implementing new technology, going against the grain, doing things that's very unconventional and perhaps even risky, what are the direct day-to-day challenges that you face when it comes to trying to disrupt?
So,
you mentioned cash flow,
it's interesting, right? Because,
more specific to disruption.
Yeah, disruption. I mean, when you want to disrupt something or you bring something really new in the market, you're going to get a lot of opposition no matter where you go, right? Even in my own team, where we have the board of directors with us, they do question some of the decisions that we make, or I make in particular, with implementing new technology into the homes. Because they say, why are you going against the grain? It's going to cost you X amount of money. It's going to cost you a fortune to do it, because in a project, a property project, in many ways, you need to make a certain target profit to make the project viable. And when I challenge the market by putting something really new, I actually reduce my profit significantly, because you're putting better products into your home, you're paying more money to do it, so your profit actually decreased significantly. And when you do something like that, you're going to get opposition in your own team. They just say, you're wasting your time, wasting your money, it doesn't work. That's the first opposition. The second opposition, when you disrupt something like that, is the local government, right? The state government and really local councils, they have a set of mind of how things look like. They always say things like, oh, we need to design something based on neighborhood characteristics. What they really mean is you need to copy your neighbor. And I mean, if you copy your neighbor, you're going to get exactly the same design, the old school design that's not efficient. And when you bring something really new, they say you're pushing the boundaries, you're crazy, you're trying to do something that the neighbors would hate. But the thing is, all these fears are unfounded. When we did something, we actually push the boundaries a lot in terms of designing something that's really good. And when we do something, you'll find it surprising that the councils come back to us after that and say, oh, thank you for designing something like this, because it basically creates something really different, and we really like it because it increases the standard of the area.
So you're talking about dealing with the opposition, and I also call them the skeptics. So I guess at this point, what is one advice you'd give a listener out there about dealing with skeptics when it comes to doing something that's very unconventional? What will be one thing that comes to mind?
Well, I mean, one thing that comes to mind is never give up. Never give up at all. I mean, if you believe in what you're doing, you believe in the product that you're putting in, never give up on your dreams.
Great.
Because you're going to get opposition no matter what.
Excellent stuff, Brian. I like this conversation. It's really flowing nicely. So I guess let's talk about competition, and I guess to compete, to disrupt, the importance between having strategic partnerships versus being an influential leader and also having sufficient venture capital. Of those three, what would you rate as being most important and perhaps something you cannot compromise?
Something that's very, very important to us at Taylor Projects is the strategic partnerships, because I mean, we can't bring in the new technologies into the home. We can't build in like solar panels into our houses at all without the right partners, because they are the one that you work on a day-to-day basis, as well as the builders who execute the construction for us. Without them, we will not be here today. So that's very important to our business. I mean, being the next most important thing, right? I mean, that's the most strategic partnerships is the most important, and then you follow up with venture capital. In many ways, venture capital is something that we look at where the money will come in for projects. So like I mentioned earlier in this talk, where every project is its business on its own. To do a project, you need money coming in. And they are actually important to actually put the money in. I mean, some projects are our own projects, but some projects are also their projects. So we actually manage their projects as well. And by having that cash coming in, it helps us to solve the cash flow issue, because we need funds coming in to pay our staff members to continue doing and disrupting the market to what we have. And the third one, I mean, I think you're talking about the influential leader. I do see it as something really important, something that, I mean, it's not as important for us now, but it will gain more prominence over time, because we need to get ourselves out there in the first place. I mean, we've been doing things for the last 3 years, and we have a brand name now in Melbourne, so that's a good thing. But ultimately, we need to be making more noise so people actually realize who we are and we are doing the right things and believe in our mission and vision of the company.
Yep. So I guess what I'm hearing is somewhat, they're all important, but definitely strategic partnerships, you rank very high because of the nature of your business. And if you've got the support of investors or perhaps key stakeholders like the councils and so forth, if you've got them on your side, I think the rest is history. So
pretty much. I mean, that's the only way to, if you want to grow and disrupt something, that's the best way to create. You create partnerships with the right people.
Interesting, yeah. So look, it's interesting how you say that being an influential leader, whilst it's important, it's not necessarily critical to have that skill set, say as a founder, right at this point. But what I'm also guessing is as the company grows and becomes more influential and impactful, it's really important that you can communicate and you can continue to attract the right investors and keep that momentum running. Is that right?
That's correct. I mean, the reason why is because, I mean, in many ways, I still see Taylor as a startup phase. Yes, I mean, we have survived for 3 years now, but ultimately, you're still in the startup phase. And when you are in the startup phase, there's a lot of other business aspects that you need to sustain. And
Yes.
it comes down to the question of time. I mean, you will spend some time to talk to people and everything like that. I do, but ultimately, time is limited. You know, you have 24/7 a day, and I mean, how much time do you have to spend to write articles, to influence someone, to get your name out there? It's a question where, you know, do you want your business to survive? Because you go through, I think business go through stages in life, and
Yes.
for the first 3 to 5 years of any businesses, you always go through a lot of pain, and I think you understand that as well.
Oh yeah,
Where
I love the reality of startup, and you're right. You're spot on to what my experience and philosophy is, that the first
mm,
3 or 5 years are the years of pain,
yeah,
and there's no compromise to that. You've just got to get through it. Just moving on here, Brian,
yeah,
I'd like to sort of really understand your mindset a little bit further with regards to being entrepreneurial. And
yep,
look, there are a lot of people out there who are dreamers,
mm-hmm,
and they'd love to start a business, and they just talk about it, and or perhaps aspiring entrepreneurs. But looking at you, you're doing it. You're right in the middle of it, and you've been
yep,
doing it now for a number of years, and therefore I call you an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur. To
yep.
be an entrepreneur, what advice do you have to give the listeners out there that are sort of tuning in, thinking, "Oh, I want to be like Brian, and maybe even one day be like a Richard Branson"?
Mm-hmm.
What's your general perspective or philosophy around that? And then I'll ask you another question around talent, education, and connections.
Yeah, I mean, one of my advice to the dreamers who wants to be an entrepreneur is, you know, follow your passion and dreams. So you need to be passionate about something and do it for what you believe in, not do it for the money. Because if you do a business just for the money side of things, you will not be fulfilled, first of all. Second thing is, you will not put in so many hours of hard time to work to get you to where you are. Because to get to where I am today, I don't work 40 hours a week. I pretty much work every waking hour I'm awake. Because
Yes,
when you run a business and you're passionate about it, you blur the lines between work and life, because your life is basically you're doing what you enjoy doing. So
yes,
I've never been burnt out at all in my own company. I mean, I love
yes,
what I'm doing. There's a lot of pains of a startup, but ultimately, if you do what you're passionate about, you'll get to where you are and never give up. Never ever
never,
give up, because everyone
never,
around
never.
you will always tell you, nah, you want to work, it's too hard, why don't you just go back for a stable job? Just a little bit of background for the listeners, right? I'm actually an
Yeah,
engineer by training, and I
it's
gave up my job
interesting.
as an
Yeah,
engineer.
look, it's really interesting how you've said something that often I hear serial entrepreneurs around the world talk about, and particularly I keep referring back to Richard Branson, maybe because he's one of my favorite
Mhm.
stories and serial entrepreneurs, but he does always say that your passion, or its cause or its legacy, is in serving the greater community or even the world for that matter. That is far more important than starting a business for the pure
Yep,
sake of making money.
yep,
Um,
that's correct.
and I personally see a lot of startups, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs starting a business because they want to make a lot of money. And that is their core drive. Whilst that's important and not to be compromised, I think that what should sit above that
Mhm.
is the long-term legacy. And clearly for you, your legacy, if I can describe this in the right terms, is about creating a sustainable future through
Yep.
property development. And I think that's really the future. And I take my hat off for you in regards to your journey. So what are your perspectives on talent, education, and connections as far as being a successful entrepreneur?
So I mean, it comes down to how you what kind of entrepreneur you are looking at, right? If you're looking into the market that I am in property development, in some ways, you know, connections is actually quite important somehow. You need to know, because you're dealing with a lot of politics when you do property, right? I mean, getting the right site, everything. It's, you know, I mean, when once you learn the basics of it, you will know how to find the right sites. But ultimately, to get what you want, you need to go through politics, because you need to go through the planning department. You need to basically pitch your idea to them, and they need to accept it, and you need to work with them to get what you really want. And having the right connections, the people who know someone in the council chambers and all these things will actually help you to some extent, because they will say, all right, I mean, you are not some dodgy duper who's in here for the profit, anything like that. They will actually help you. So connections is very, very, very important. Talent, I think, is a little bit overrated, right? I mean, everyone who is passionate about something will learn what they need to. So they will work towards the goal. And talent, I mean, you still need some basic talent, definitely. You need the basic skills to do your work, right? For example, if you are an architect, you need to know how to draw drawings. I mean, that's the basic fundamentals. But everything else can be taught in life. So I believe that, talent is really overrated to some extent. And I mean, that links to the education, right? Because when you have talent, you have the education to do the basic fundamental stuff, you'll be fine. But ultimately, it's really follow your dreams, and you need to take risks.
So I guess having the right connections and the right strategic partnerships is kind of like the highway to success for an entrepreneur, isn't it?
It's the relationships. I mean, you need mentors, definitely. You definitely need mentors. I mean, I'm not here today without mentors. I'm here today with 3 mentors that guide me all the way.
Yeah.
So with mentors, you can accelerate your dreams quicker. You can actually help you to avoid pitfalls. And that, so again, it comes down to connections, right? That mentorship that you have with someone will give you the right connections, bring you to the right path, and avoid mistakes that they have done in life previously. And that's very important to be successful in business.
Great. Look, it's a nice perspective you have. And whilst unique, it is also a common thread amongst the stories I hear of entrepreneurs that really emphasize the importance of partnerships as the highway to success. Yes, you can do it within your own powers. Yes, you can do it with your own skill set and education and talent. At the end of the day, it really is about collaboration, and it is about teamwork. So I totally support that philosophy of yours. I guess I'm conscious of time here, Brian, and I guess I want to keep the conversation with the half-hour mark. My next question is about the opportunities and the issues that you foresee in your sector of property development in the coming years within Australia. If you had a crystal ball, what would you say would be 1 or 2 opportunities, or perhaps a key issue to deal with?
So, I mean, in terms of the future of the market in the property sector, right, it's very interesting. You're getting a lot of news nowadays, headwinds saying that the property market is crashing and anything like that. But the funny thing is, if you're building for the long term, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're building for 5 to 10 years from now, and you need to start looking at trends, not just making money. When they talk about property market crashing and anything like that, you're looking at short-term goals. That's about money and about making profit and everything like that. Yes, it plays a role, but it's not fundamental. The key here, you're looking for the next, just say 5 to 10 years, is the trend of you have smart homes, right? So you're getting technology. So we've done it a fair bit in our homes at the moment, but there's definitely going to be a trend where homes can be, it's like automated homes. You actually have homes that understand your feeling, understand your needs in life, and they actually adapt to you, and they become like your assistant. It's not like Siri, but it's better than Siri, right? Because Siri is just finding stuff out. That's one opportunity. Number 2, this is a very quick opportunity. So it's like a low-hanging fruit. You can do it straight away if you want to. It's the energy efficiency aspects, right? At the moment, houses in Melbourne is designed to 6 stars. So what it means is the higher star rating, the more comfortable your home is, the lower your energy consumption. The thing is, this is interesting because 6 stars, if you design something upfront really well, you design it and you look into a home, you can actually design something, a house of a 9-star rating, without costing a fortune. It doesn't. I mean, when someone tells you if you want to change from 6-star to 9-star, it's going to cost you a fortune to do it, it's actually not true. They're just saying it because, again, this is the resistance that you're getting. So if you can create something energy efficient, a home that's energy efficient means you actually have passive heating, cooling. So you face your home towards the north. So you actually get light all day, and it heats up your house, and it doesn't cost you a thing. It's sun. And the next thing you can actually do with it is having solar panels and Tesla power walls, the batteries, to basically get off the grid. Because at the moment, I can guarantee you, almost everyone that you talk to have issues with the power bills. It's getting too high. This year itself is increasing 8 to 9%, depending on who your retailer is, because of the closure of Hazelwood, the power plant. And everyone will feel the pinch in the next couple of months, where the bills will just go up massively. And to
Sure.
do something like that, if you have solar panels and batteries, you actually get off the grid. Yes, it's going to cost you some money. Don't look at it as a payback. I mean, look at it as something that it adds value or an asset to your company or to your home. And it actually gives you the security that you don't need to rely on all this, power from the grid. So if there's a shock wave or the heat wave again, for example, in New South
Yeah.
Wales, you're actually not impacted at all because you have your own power.
Yeah. So I guess there are plenty of opportunities for entrepreneurs to even enter this market you're in. And right now, it's still early days. You're definitely a pioneer.
Yep.
And with being a pioneer, there are great, tremendous opportunities, but also challenges along the way.
Yep.
And I'm guessing that there'll be more of you in the coming years sort of entering the space. And I do feel very strongly that you have a mark on the market, and certainly you're doing something extraordinary, and it will be noticed and is being noticed as we speak. So well done there, Brian. I guess my last question is kind of philosophical, and that would be, if there was one thing you could do differently or better within your own capacity or within your own business or industry, what would that one thing be that would impact the world?
I mean, one thing, this is interesting, right? I mean, the one thing that I think I would do better is basically sharing the information. So in some ways, it's like you have climate skeptics, right? Talking about science and all those things, and they say science is not real. I mean, something like what we are doing is also the same thing as well. There's always information backing up about the benefits of having a good home that's energy efficient, everything like that. But you're going to have skeptics, and there's a lot of skeptics in the world that says, no, it can't be done and all those things. So I think really it's just sharing the information, that educating the others about what the benefits are, and maybe more understanding from every parties instead of being really defensive and shooting each another all the time. Just try to collaborate together and make the world a better place.
Yeah, that's great advice. Basically, share the love, and again, if we collaborate, there is more communication that gets developed, and I suppose those skeptics get informed or get educated in the process. And yes, there will always be a bunch of those that will still not listen to you. I guess summarizing here, Brian, I've taken lots of great notes, and I've got a lot of quotes from you that stand out, and maybe one of those quotes that really stand out as being prominent for you, and I've noticed you've said this a number of times, is never give up and believe in yourself. And I think that really is such a core constituent to the success of an entrepreneur, and very much the DNA of an entrepreneur's mindset. So it's great to hear that again from you, and certainly that is part of the formula to success as an entrepreneur. And obviously within your industry, disruption is key. And I'd like to again thank you for sharing your insights and your experience and your wisdom, but also your foresight to where this is all going. And I'm sure that it will certainly be beneficial to the marketplace and business as such. So I'd like to thank you again. And maybe one last question I have for you, Brian, is if someone wanted to get in touch with you, what would be the best way? Do you have a website or anything else?
I have a website called www.taylorprojects.com.au. I mean, they can go on the website and get in contact with me, or just give me a call.
Sure, fantastic. And I'm sure that some people will be interested, and they will be looking at your website in coming times. So look, thanks again, and I'd like to suggest you stay on the line, and I'll just end this transmission just very shortly. So just bear with me for a moment.
Thanks for that.